Welcome back to Kamikaze Overdrive MMA predictions for UFC 138, Lieben versus Munoz. This event will be a free event on free TV. We'll be able to watch it on Spike. It'll take place on November 5th, 2011 from the LG Arena in Birmingham, England. I'll be doing predictions for 5 main card fights, including the main event, which will be our first ever 5-round non-title UFC fight, and also doing predictions for 5 of the 6 preliminary fights. Now, before we get into those predictions, as always, Sports Interaction will be providing odds. They have the odds for Munoz and Lieben up. They'll do the odds. It's the official betting site of Kamikaze Overdrive MMA predictions, so please check them out. MMABettingOdds.com, another great site again, giving you all kinds of options to look at, showing you where you can bet based on your geographical region, giving you previews written by myself, and other picks provided by other writers. So check them out, MMABettingOdds.com. And again, get your tournament picks in for UFC 138. 137 has not taken place yet, so nothing to report there. But please get your picks in as soon as possible so I can get them in and put them where they need to be. And on that note, it's time to get into my first set of predictions. We move now to our preliminary fights, 5 in all. I'll be predicting it a 6, and again, if I don't predict a fight, it's because I'm not getting a good feel for it. Looking first, Chris Carrasco versus Vaughn Lee. Now, Lee will be making his UFC debut in his hometown of Birmingham, England, which should have him very motivated. Carrasco's a veteran of 4 UFC WEC bouts and has alternated wins and losses. Carrasco's won 7 of his 11 wins by decision, while Lee is a proven finisher with 10 combined submission and knockouts in 11 victories. Lee has been in the cage with Brad Pickett, so the jump in talent shouldn't be a huge issue. I expect this to be a very competitive matchup, and I'll take Vaughn Lee to win by knockout. Next, Chris Cope versus Che Mills. Mills is another Brit making his UFC debut, while Cope will make his second appearance following his stint on The Ultimate Fighter. As a fighter, Cope has never overly impressed me. He keeps things simple, and his boxing in hands and his takedown defense is decent. Che Mills has had issues with submissions, losing 3 times, but he also has 6 career knockout wins, 2 of which came over Dream Welterweight champion Marius Saromskis. Mills has solid striking, he's respectable on the mat, and has far more experience than Cope. Cope has had the most success when his opponents don't execute. That won't be the case here. Che Mills wins this fight also by knockout. Michihiro Omigawa versus Jason Young. This will be Omigawa's first appearance since his controversial decision defeat against Darren Elkins. At 0-4 over 2 stints in the UFC, he will be desperate for a victory. Jason Young's debut was a defeat against Dustin Poirier, where he suffered multiple takedowns and struggled in the striking exchanges. Over his career, Young has had issues with the grappling game, suffering 3 defeats by submission. The striking exchanges should be fairly even, but if Omigawa is able to use his judo and takedowns, that will be the difference. I'll take Michihiro Omigawa in a tight decision. Next, in the heavyweight division, Philip DeFries versus Rob Broughton. This all-British matchup will feature the return of Rob Broughton for his third UFC bout and the debut of Philip DeFries. Broughton has proven his toughness in his first 2 appearances, especially in his bout with Travis Brown. Broughton's ability to endure punishment is his best asset. As his opponent begins to fade, Broughton will take over the fight. All 7 of DeFries' wins have come via submission, 5 by rear naked choke. DeFries has only gone beyond the second round once, which is a concern against Broughton if DeFries' endurance fails. Broughton has only been able to stop 2 of 10 takedowns over his first 2 UFC bouts. DeFries will get this fight to the mat and use his jiu-jitsu to dominate Philip DeFries by submission. Finally, Cyril Diabate versus Anthony Perosh. The hippo and the snake will tangle as Cyril Diabate and Perosh meet in the octagon. This is a pure striker versus grappler matchup. Diabate is a K1 level striker with 8 knockouts, and Perosh a second-degree black belt with 8 submissions. Conversely, Perosh has suffered 4 career knockouts and Diabate 3 submission losses. Diabate has been working to improve his grappling skills, tapping out only once in the last 13 fights. His takedown defense is sound, and as long as he keeps it standing, the snake will be able to use his 6-inch reach advantage and superior skills. 2 of Perosh's last 3 defeats were knockouts. That trend will continue. Diabate wins this fight by knockout. And those are my predictions for the preliminary fights. Let's get to the main card. The opening fight of the main card is in the lightweight division as 15-5 Anthony the Assassin Njokuani will enter enemy territory against British fighter Paul Relentless Taylor. Both men are coming off decisive victories in their last outings. This matchup has fight of the night potential written all over it. These 2 fighters have combined for 14 TKO victories, and they both come from striking backgrounds. Taylor's a former kickboxing champion, while Njokuani has shown extremely sharp Muay Thai throughout his MMA career. Statistically, both men have put up some big numbers. Average strikes landed per minute favors Njokuani at just over 5.2 compared to Taylor's 4.44, and each has surpassed the 100 strikes landed mark in recent appearances. Defensively, the Assassin takes far less damage. His opponents land less than 2 strikes per minute, while the Brit gets tagged almost 4.5 times every 60 seconds. I attribute this last stat to their significant contrast in styles. Taylor's inclined to stand in the pocket and trade with his opponents, while Njokuani uses his reach and kicks to maintain distance while attacking. Even though Taylor prefers to stand and bang, he's extremely technical. His leg strikes are heavy, and he dropped Marcus Davis with a perfectly placed head kick. His boxing is tight with limited windup and impressive hand speed. He has solid combinations relying on a left jab followed by a right hook, frequently finishing with a kick, and he won't shy away from a furious exchange of punches. He has battled other talented strikers like Davis, Chris Lytle, and Sam Stout, going 0-3 in those bouts despite solid showings. Against both Lytle and Stout, he lost decisions that many felt he should have won. In his meeting with Stout, Taylor successfully countered his opponent's strikes, and in the end, he outlanded the Canadian 140-107. Two areas of concern with Taylor is that he does take a lot of damage, which I already touched upon, and his wrestling. He has been working on it, but he is still susceptible to takedowns. Njokuani's been incorporating takedowns into his most recent bouts and has used judo throws as well. Against Andre Winner, Anthony went 2 for 3, but he really wasn't looking to keep him on the mat. It was more to force Winner to have to worry about the possibility of a takedown. Against Edson Barbosa, Anthony got off to a slow start, but really began to open up and take it to the vaunted Brazilian striker as the fight progressed. Njokuani is patient but incredibly fast. Winner, who's exceptionally quick in his own right, was simply unable to deal with the rapidness of Njokuani's striking, only able to connect 17 times in 116 attempts, and even Barbosa seemed hesitant to attack. Anthony has all the tools of a talented Muay Thai striker: heavy kicks, fast hands, sharp elbows, and vicious knees. He will incorporate a spinning back fist and spinning elbows. And he's an incredibly effective counter-striker. He did a lot of damage when Andre pushed forward, and Njokuani used head movement to avoid and then countered with power, especially targeting the body. In that bout, he had a 2.5-inch reach advantage, and against Taylor, it will grow by an additional inch, which should allow him to execute a similar game plan. Anthony has been knocked out once, and he got rocked a couple of times by Barbosa's right hand. While Taylor has never been stopped, Paul Kelly did hurt him a couple of times, and the amount of strikes he endures during a fight is a little bit concerning. Njokuani's reach and speed will create problems for Taylor. The Brit does have the tools to deal with this, but mixing the variety of strikes used by the WEC vet and the potential for him to score takedowns, and I've got Anthony Njokuani to defeat Paul Taylor by decision. Still in the 155-pound division, Terry Edom, 14-3, will take on 5-2 Edward Falaloto. Adam has been away for roughly 19 months, and his last fight ended his 4-fight winning streak, while Falaloto is 0-2 in his WEC UFC career with 2 knockout defeats. Terry Edom has been away from the cage for a considerable amount of time, yes, which could impact his performance. Prior to the injury that kept him out of action, the Brit had put together a solid run, earning notable wins over Sam Stout, Shannon Gogarty, Justin Buckles, and Matt Grice, the last 3 all earning him Submission of the Night honors. Edom has an 11-1 submission record, with his lone defeat coming against BJJ black belt Rafael Dos Anjos, who is simply on another level. He has a neutralizing guard, good submission defense, he continually attacks off his back with subs, and his long limbs make him hard to control on the mat. Terry's knockout numbers are unexpectedly low, as he has decent striking skills. He utilizes his long reach with a sharp jab, he has nice footwork, attacking from various angles, and incorporates a series of kicks. Against Brian Cobb, he used his low kick to punish the lead leg, and a high kick to score the knockout. Edward Falaloto began his career 5-0, but has had 2 less than memorable appearances since signing on with Zuffa. The native of Hawaii has 3 knockout victories, but his striking has not looked the greatest in his recent bouts with Anthony Njokuani and Michael Johnson. In those 2 bouts, over a combined 3 rounds, Edward has struggled to keep up to his opponents, being outlanded 113-52. Against Njokuani, he took a great deal of damage, showing a solid chin, but eventually the volume of strikes was just too much. When Njokuani attacked, Falaloto froze up, resulting in more damage piling up. Edward looked his best early when he completed a big slam, taking his opponent down, but he was quickly reversed. As the fight progressed, he was unable to get back to the fight back to the ground on 3 attempts. His hands began to slow down, and he really struggled with the reach of Njokuani, something he'll have to deal with against Terry Edom. Against Johnson, Falaloto was unable to deal with the aggression and striking of his opponent. Johnson landed big shots and eventually put Edward away in the closing moments of the round. In this matchup, I don't see an area where Falaloto will be able to get the better of Terry Edom. Edom's striking technique and reach will create the same problems Falaloto has had in his last 2 fights, and against Njokuani, he really slowed down in the second frame, which will be a huge problem if this occurs again. If Edward attempts to take it to the ground, Edom will either defend the takedown, reverse the position, or contain Falaloto long enough to get the ref to stand it up. Edem has been away from the cage for a long time, but at 25 he's still a young man with a large experience advantage over his opponent, so it may take him a few minutes to find his groove, but he should be able to take control of the fight. So my prediction is Terry Edem to defeat Edward Falaloto by stoppage. In the welterweight division, 23-7, Thiago Pitbull Alves will welcome UFC newcomer, undefeated 8-0 Papi Abdi. Abdi has finished 7 of his 8 fights inside the distance, while Thiago has dropped 3 of his last 4 appearances. Thiago Alves is in the midst of the most difficult period of his career, while Abdi is a fighter on the rise. However, over his last 5 bouts, Alves has been in the cage with 4 top 10 welterweights, including the UFC champion. Abdi has a black belt in judo, a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, a wrestling background, and at the start of 2011, he was ranked as the #1 middleweight prospect by BloodyElbow.com. That is a solid series of skills to build an MMA career upon. In his final bout before signing with the UFC, Papi dropped his opponent with a left hand and quickly followed them to the ground, finishing with a guillotine. Abdi is physically strong. He has solid top control, crushing submissions, and devastating ground and pound. His submission defense is good against Alan Carlos. Papi got caught in a triangle armbar combination, but was able to endure, step over, and eventually break free. Abdi doesn't use his judo offensively, but has shown solid hips and the ability to reverse takedown attempts and finish on top. He will slam his opponent, and he will also use his overpowering strength to get him to the ground. Abdi is still working on his striking. He has power in his left, mainly attacking with single strikes, but he has a tendency to get wild, which leaves openings that can be countered. Thiago Alves is a dangerous Muay Thai striker owning 11 knockouts. He brutalizes opponents with his leg kicks, has crisp boxing using mainly straight, powerful combinations, and he will incorporate knees as we saw in the Rick Story fight. In that matchup, Alves struggled with the wrestling of Story as he was continually on the defensive. This has been a trend in Thiago's career, losing the fights to John Fitch and GSP, suffering 19 of 23 takedowns. This would indicate that a fighter like Abdi should have the skill set to defeat the Brazilian. Despite the loss to Story, Alves showed improved takedown defense, stuffing 11 of 14 attempts, and when Story did take him down, Alves was able to get back to his feet. Overall, Thiago has defended 61% of his opponent's attempts, and he has also started to incorporate his own takedowns. Further adding to the positives coming out of his last fight, Alves demonstrated much improved cardio. Even after fighting a grueling 2 rounds, Alves was clearly the fresher fighter in the third. This is a major point of concern for Abdi. In the footage I have seen so far, he has never appeared gassed, but he hasn't gone beyond the second round, and this is the first attempt at him making 170. This last point looms large as Papi is a heavily muscled fighter, which isn't the best physique for MMA, especially when you're trying to cut weight. There are multiple reasons to believe that Papi could struggle in his first octagon appearance, including a bad weight cut, the debut fight adrenaline dump, or ring rust, as he hasn't fought in over a year. If one or more of these impacts Abdi's performance, it could be a difficult debut. Even if Abdi doesn't suffer from a drop-off in performance, Thiago Alves is a superior striker, and in my opinion, he should be able to keep the fight standing. Look for Thiago to defend the takedowns early, and as Abdi slows down, Alves will open up. The UFC rookie has never tasted the type of power possessed by Thiago, and he will need to watch for knees as he shoots for a takedown. Alves will learn from his last fight, create separation, and my prediction is Thiago Alves to defeat Papi Abdi by stoppage. In the co-main event of the evening, bantamweights Inan Barrow, 28-1, and Brad One Punch Pickett, 21-4, will go to war. Both men are riding incredible streaks. Barrow has won 16 in a row, while Pickett has been victorious in 10 of his last 11. Despite filling the co-main event spot on the card, these two fighters have almost no exposure to UFC fans. Pickett is making his debut after being forced from his original UFC 130 fight due to injury, and Barrow's only appearance came on the undercard of the same event. Both men had successful runs in the WEC. Barrow was undefeated in 2 fights, while Pickett had a respectable 3-1 record, including a win over title contender Demetrius Johnson. Pickett will be the fan favorite, being a native, and he always seems to find himself in exciting matchups, earning a pair of bonuses in the WEC, while Barrow has compiled an impressive record and is perceived as a future title contender. Both men are incredibly well-rounded. Each has multiple submission and knockout victories, and both have a lot of cage experience. The Brit has an edge in opponents faced, having fought 2 title challengers in Scott Jorgensen and Demetrius Johnson, along with Ivan Menjivar, while the biggest name on Barrow's resume is Cole Escovedo. Looking first at Barrow, he's a BJJ black belt, having submitted 4 of his last 6 opponents. He has good takedowns, completing 6 of his last 7, and his transitions are smooth, which create multiple submission opportunities. Defensively, he has an excellent sprawl and good balance, having defended 86% of takedown attempts. On the negative side, he tends to be a little too inactive on top resting when he should be attacking. Burrow's striking has been compared to training partner Jose Aldo's. He has fast hands and kicks. He will incorporate knee strikes and a spinning back fist. But just like his ground game, he doesn't attack with the volume level you would expect, and he gets hit frequently. In 2 of his last 3 bouts, his opponents have landed an average of almost 50% of their attempts, but were simply unable to do enough damage. His opponent, Brad Pickett, is potentially the most well-rounded British fighter in the UFC. Pickett has fantastic wrestling skills, his shot is tough to defend, and he averages almost 3.5 takedowns per fight, including an impressive 10 of 11 against wrestling standout Demetrius Johnson. His defense is good, but not perfect, as Jorgensen was able to take him down several times. Pickett has been submitted twice, but both came early in his career. His own submission game is solid, he chains holds together with swift transitions, and he is quite skilled. Case in point, he submitted Kyle Dietz with a Peruvian necktie, a very difficult maneuver to pull off. Unlike Burrow, Pickett is active the entire time he's on the mat, attacking with elbows and always working to improve his position. He's an aggressive striker, but he hasn't recorded a knockout since '08. His last knockout came as a result of body shots, which is something he does very well. Pickett changes levels frequently, blasting the body with punches, often using them to counter-strike. Pickett will take his fair share of damage, but when his opponents land, he immediately responds. He has a stiff jab, he uses head movement to close the distance, delivering powerful strikes, and he will launch a flying knee. He's never been knocked out and has excellent composure in the cage, but Ivan Menjivar was able to hurt him. This is a very tough fight to call. Both men are skilled and do a lot of things well. Pickett will be buoyed by the home crowd, and the pace he pushes will force Burrow to work harder than he's used to, so I'm going to take an upset and take Brad Pickett to outwork Renan Burrow and earn the decision victory. The main event of the evening will be the first non-title 5-round fight in the UFC as 22-7 Chris the Crippler Lieben takes on 11-2 Mark the Filipino Wrecking Machine Munoz. Lieben has won 4 of his last 5, while Munoz has won 3 in a row. The first point of interest regarding this fight is the addition of 2 more rounds, as neither man has ever fought beyond the 3rd frame. Both men have gone the distance several times. Munoz is 5-1 and Lieben is 5-3. Neither has perfect cardio, but Lieben always seems dangerous no matter how hurt or tired, and Munoz's reliance on power is draining over a long fight. Both men have won the majority of their fights by knockout. Lieben has 12, while Munoz has recorded 5. Mark's TKO victory over Kendall Grove was the result of his powerful ground and pound, and he defeated Ryan Jensen in similar fashion. Comparing styles, Munoz is a wrestler that has developed dangerous power and is working to improve his technique. His striking consists of a potent right hand, low and high kicks, and he will use combinations, but not that often. Early in his career, Chris Lieben was a brawler. He has gone through a developmental process, becoming more patient, but as we saw against Vanderlei Silva, he can quickly return to his old mode of operation. The Crippler is a southpaw, boasting a powerful left hand and granite chin. He will also attack with leg kicks. He is at his best during wild exchanges when he batters his opponent with both big looping punches and short uppercuts from in close. Like Lieben, Mark Munoz's power allows him to do a lot of damage in tight. Against Damian Maia, Munoz used hammer fist to punish Maia's thigh. Each man has suffered knockouts in the past. Lieben got destroyed by Anderson Silva and Brian Stan, while Munoz was knocked out by Matt Hamill. The 2 knockouts that Lieben suffered came against fighters that use accurate striking, which is not Munoz's style. Against Yushin Okami, outside of 1 knockdown, Munoz really struggled with the striking, and Damian Maia had a lot of success standing as well. Neither guy possesses picture-perfect technique, but I would give Crippler the edge based on experience and his ability to take a punch. What this fight comes down to is will and can Mark Munoz use his wrestling. Mark's wrestling hasn't translated to MMA as well as others has. Overall, he only finishes 18% of his takedowns and has never completed more than 3 in a fight. Chris Lieben's takedown defense is respectable at 56%, and he's fought his fair share of grapplers. Judo player Yoshihiro Akiyama went 5 for 5 with takedowns, but wrestlers Aaron Simpson and Jake Rochalt were a combined 5 for 14. Even when Lieben gets taken down, he is able to get back to his feet, and he caught Akiyama with a triangle off his back. Prior to that, Yoshihiro had never been submitted, so Lieben can defend himself on the ground. Munoz doesn't have much of a submission game. He only has 1, and it was due to strikes. He has held his own on the mat against submission fighters like Maia and Kendall Grove, but there were some close calls. In the end, I don't expect Lieben will submit Munoz because Munoz is simply too good on top. Instead, Lieben will need to defend the takedown and force Munoz to engage in wild exchanges. Against Okami, Munoz was unable to find his range, and Lieben has a longer reach than Okami. When Maia outstruck Munoz, Mark froze, and then when fighters chase power like Lieben's for the first time, they tend to crumple. Finally, Mark ducks his head when he punches, which leaves him very vulnerable to be countered. Munoz will score takedowns, but in a 5-round fight, Lieben's pressure and power will be too much for Mark. So my prediction is Chris Lieben to pull off the upset and defeat Mark Munoz by knockout. Alright, Kamikaze Countdown. 2 things I want to touch upon quickly. The first is Leonard Garcia. I am feeling for this guy right now. He is coming off a loss to Nam Pham, and a submission defeat against Chan Sung Young. Both those fights were rematches from original fights that Leonard Garcia won by controversial decision. It just seems right now that Leonard Garcia, he had some success early controversially, but he's now suffering for it. And even though I don't have Garcia in my top 15 contenders in the featherweight division, he probably, maybe next to Jose Aldo, is the #1 draw in that division because he fights an entertaining style. He leaves it all in the cage. He's not technical, but he goes out and he does his best, and he has some fantastic fights that are just entertaining to watch. And, I have a feeling if George Roop loses to Hatsu Aoki at UFC 137, you very well could see Roop, who had a controversial draw with Garcia. A lot of people felt Roop won it. Roop and Garcia matched up again. No matter if I pick Garcia or not in a fight, I will be rooting for him hard, no matter, whoever his opponent is, because I think he deserves a win. He puts a good effort out. And, Leonard Garcia, keep doing what you're doing, and just enjoy fighting. Secondly, the Strikeforce middleweight division hasn't been touched like other divisions. We've seen the light heavyweight champion, the heavyweight champion, the welterweight champion move over. The lightweight champion has one more fight to go. Middleweight division, Luke Rockhold, has not been touched yet. I think there's 4 interesting prospects: Luke Rockhold, Tim Kennedy, Jacare Souza, and Robbie Lawler, the veteran, who all get a chance to go over to the UFC and make waves in that division. Rockhold, I can't see him getting a title shot right away. I could see if he gets a shot at defending his title against Tim Kennedy, maybe go over to the UFC, fight a high-name middleweight. If he wins that fight, they could push him as a contender, a challenger for Silva's title if they're looking for new contenders. Either way, middleweight division, I think, is on the horizon for getting touched and moved over to the UFC. That's Kamikaze Countdown. Thanks for watching. Alright, so those are my predictions for UFC 138. Again, it's a free bout, so that makes it very fun. I know it doesn't have the big names like some of the events do, but some of these shows that tend to have lesser names turn out to be some of the better ones based on excitement and just how the fighters throw down with their opportunity to showcase their skills. Before I go, Sports Interaction, doing a fantastic job with their betting odds. Please check them out and consider betting with them. MMABettingOdds.com. Check out that website. A cool site again. Lots of betting tips and helpful hints and little programs you can use to improve your betting. And finally, UFC 138. Get your prediction picks in. UFC 137. After that, I will post a quick video giving my recap, plus showing how the matchups went. UFC 138 will bring to the end our first round of events. The best 16 competitors will advance to the second round, leaving the 16 other competitors behind. And this is it's very cool. I was looking through things. We have people from the U.S., Canada, England, Scotland, Ireland, Australia, and Sweden competing in this tournament. So it's kind of like an international thing. It's pretty fun. Either way, get your picks in. Enjoy UFC 137. Enjoy UFC 138. We've got a lot of fights on the horizon. This is Kamikaze Overdrive, MMA predictions for UFC 138. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time.